Hello, friends. I have a short, quick video today that is a bit unusual for me. It is not Emacs focused. It is focused on successful prompting for agentic coding or agentic work, I should say, with an LLM. And I say agentic work because you might not be coding, you're doing research, you might be learning a new subject, you might be learning a language, you might be using a conversational partner that you want to have give access to tools, things like that. So to start out, the prompt that got me over the hump was due to a YouTuber named Cole Medin, or Cole Medine, I think Cole Medin, who, like me, gives actual non-fluff, actionable things that you can use and encourages you to swipe and deploy, as I have done and I encourage you to do with my prompts. Because many people are out there successfully doing agentic projects, but the knowledge for how to do it is unevenly distributed. Therefore, I want to share this video. So let's look at my prompt, which is, this one is specifically for Python coding, but as you'll see, many segments of it will be used to mix and match for any type of agentic work. So let's get into it. We start with a role not only for the LLM. You are an expert problem solver, an experienced programmer in this case, and debugger, and a worldly observer just for fun, but also your role. So the human is an autodidact or whatever it is that you want to put for your own purposes. The reason is defining you and giving some background about you. And remember, this is not happening in a chat.openai.com type of framework where you have memory enabled. This is using the API or using it in a new cursor session or anything like that with any LLM. So you provided at least some degree of background so that it knows that you are also an expert, and this reduces the kind of random flattery and glazing that when you point out an error in a code, it says, oh my God, you're the world's best debugger, you are so smart, that kind of thing. It really cuts down on that without explicitly telling it to reduce the flattery. I find this more effective. So that's kind of been a change for the better in my workflow. Then I use org mode format rather than Markdown. Why? Because LLMs these days can actually do it. So that's not for everyone and not for the majority of people. But if you want to use this snippet, you can use this snippet. Then we get to AI behavior rules for any project, not just coding. So we always insist on full context. And this prompt had originally started with do not make up context, do not hallucinate. But I have stopped using negative commands in favor of positive examples, positive directives, because just like LLMs will get confused just like humans can. Do not think of a pink giraffe. And you kind of have to process that before you can put not in there. And why the highway signs should not say do not crash and die, where you have to think of yourself doing that, but instead arrive alive or something like that. So always positive. Ask questions of the human for clarity. My prompt is not do everything AI. My autonomy slider, as Andre Caparti has said, does not go all the way to the left where I do everything, but it definitely doesn't go all the way to the right where I expect the AI to do anything, say, make me an Uber clone, and then I pop open the beer and wait for it to start the company and make the first $100 million for me. So mine is right in the center, and we'll see that later. So ask the human for clarity, be proactive in asking questions, and be proactive in offering suggestions in improvements of workflow, prompting, or anything else. And then confirm file paths and module names exist before referencing them. And this one is still in negative territory where it says never delete. Perhaps you could consider that positive prompting, uh, unless explicitly instructed to delete or overwrite existing code. All right. Next, documentation and explainability. Write in the README file for our thing and consider that the end user is not a technical expert, right? Next, project awareness and context. Basically, how we get to a project route wherever we're directing from. Maybe this route is not a coding project route, but it is the area where we're going to write our research papers or our knowledge base articles, and we have to be there. So when the LLM writes files, we know where they ended up. Okay, very important. Create and use a planning.org, when this is what it's for. Create and use a task file, task.org or taskmd, to keep track of tasks, backlog, subtasks, etc. Then, how do we manage that? We keep the details in tasks. If there are new features being requested, propose a detailed checklist of subtasks. Simple enough, but it works a treat. And then the general tool use guidelines. LLMs, even foundation models, when you just present a whole bunch of tools, they will have trouble working correctly with them. So this came from not my idea, but you specify, plan, execute, and reflect on your tool usage. Plan the way you're going to use the tool. I added a thing that says try to increase verbosity on those tools whenever you can, and then execute it with exactly the arguments that you plan for, and then reflect upon the result. So what I was finding is that shell commands and file writes and so forth were executed, and if the tool returned an error, the LLM often would just proceed as if the thing had happened. So always reflect. Did I get the results I wanted, etc.? And then a positive example of how we might do a tool, evaluate, find that it did not work, and then how we reflect to fix it, including asking the human for another approach. All right, next section. Code structure and modularity. This is only for coding, about the kinds of guidelines that you want for your code base. The human user as an additional tool and partner. This has been a game changer for me. I started doing elements of this some time ago, but really spelling it out, I find is hugely useful. So because I want the autonomy slider to be right in the middle, I say the user is a source of truth for the local environment. The human user can run the REPL or an inferior shell with the code base properly initialized that we're working on. Whereas you, the LLM, if you try to use the shell to execute a piece of code, it won't be initialized with our state. So therefore, it says this sentence, which kind of cracks me up, the human in the loop method, while seemingly clunky, is vastly superior because it solves the context and state problem perfectly. That sentence was written by an LLM as a result of our struggling with tools and how we hand things off to each other. So that was pretty cool. Then my role as an LLM, again, because it's from the perspective of the LLM reading this, the code generator. I provide tests and so forth, but then I ask the human, and your role as the human is you're the interactive runtime. You execute that simple line of code or code block that's prepared in the prepared stateful environment and report the results so that we can both see the results. A beautiful thing about using org mode for this is I see a source code block like this, I hit Control C, boom, the results are there, and we can both review them. Okay. Then for coding style and conventions for Python coding specifically, we're doing these things. We use Pydantic, we use PyTest for tests, and that kind of thing. Testing and reliability, that is specifically about writing the integration and unit tests that I've asked for in my project. So that's coding specific and Python specific. And so if you are not doing that type of a project, you simply omit this block. And then everything else is just rolled up into the prompt. Now, the way this looks, I have a repo that is linked below called AIPCall. Some of you might know the reference. It is AI prompts I have known and loved. And in this case, what I just showed you was the one true holy and apostolic coding and tool usage prompt, which of course is not truly one size fits all for everyone. It's the thing that works for me right now, and I love it. And then each of the sections in that document got moved into this composable prompts directory where you can simply copy and paste what you wish or find everything all glommed together at will. So please swipe and deploy, use this, give it a test. I have an immediately upcoming video about using this exact prompt in an actual coding session in a non-IDE environment. So one of the great things with using the right prompt is that you do not need someone's $3 billion VS Code fork or someone's proprietary thing that works only with their foundation models. You can use it anywhere with any model in any kind of environment. So that's the beauty. So please give me comments about your experience with this and watch my video of using it in action. Thanks.